Welcome to the Man Cave Podcast with Dan Casper.
This is incredibly rare what we're seeing with the green and gold. Packers yesterday officially rumored out there, and I think for the most of us, a lot of us, hell, probably every single Packers fan out there is like, yeah, it ain't gonna happen. Probably gonna, we're trying not to get into it too much, not trying to buy into the hype or the rumors and that. But it happened. It happened. Green Bay gets MICAH Parsons yesterday afternoon. The whole day kind of transpired. It's like, okay, there were some reports leaking out a little bit that, okay, maybe Dallas was a little bit more open. Maybe they're willing to listen to offers now and such. It's like, okay, but still, Green Bay ain't going to do anything like that. They're not going to do anything like that. And then, lo and behold, what was it, 4-something? Because I know it was right before I had to leave to go coach football. It popped up. Packers trading for MICAH Parsons. 2 first-round picks and Kenny Clark for MICAH Parsons. And then Parsons signing that mega deal, 4 years, $188 million, making him the highest paid non-quarterback in the NFL. I got to ask, Packers fans, what was, when you first heard it, when you first read it, however you heard about it, online or something like that, because it was going on right at the end of the Brewers game, right? What was your reaction? I was in disbelief. I was like, no way this is happening. No, Green Bay doesn't do stuff like this. This no. Duh. Doesn't happen. But it happened. It happened. And we're going to hear from MICAH Parsons later on today in his introductory press conference. Packers going to be introducing him this afternoon. Brian Gutekunst, Matt LaFleur also scheduled to talk to the media as well this afternoon. So we will hear from the newest Green Bay Packer. It is not a dream. If you're just waking up, Packers fans, no, yesterday was not a dream. Not a dream. It is real. Parsons to Green Bay. Superstar defensive pass rusher coming to Green Bay. Expectations exploding now for Green Bay for this year. And I would say for the next couple of years. Right? I mean, as long as he's there, as long as the core of this team is there, it is win now, not just for this year, but for at least the foreseeable future. Oh, I'm still like I still like just pitch me, man. Just go ahead and pitch me. There's no way this thing is actually going on for real. I mean, what Green Bay gave up for him, honestly, I think Green Bay kind of got a bargain. I think they did. I really think they did. We all knew the minimum was going to be 2 first-round picks. We knew that. That was the minimum. The question was just going to be, what else? What else besides 2 first-round picks? I was a little surprised that Green Bay did move on from Kenny Clark. But I understand it. And when you really look at it, it's like, because I've been saying for a while now, I thought this was Kenny Clark's final year in Green Bay just based off how his structure was with the cap hits and that. And it just, with Green Bay's salary cap situation for 2026, it felt like this was going to be Kenny Clark's final year in Green Bay. He's coming off of a down year last year. Yes, he had the foot injury. Maybe that's what really affected his play last year. But he is going to be 30. And when you factor in that this was probably going to be his final year in Green Bay, that he is 30 years old, all it cost Green Bay was those 2 first-round picks, again, that we knew was the minimum, and Kenny Clark, to me is a win. And that is also the expectation that, okay, those picks probably, knock on wood, that nothing happens to, for the Packers to where they don't do well this year, probably the back end of the first round, and we know what does Green Bay do with those first-round picks normally? Who do they draft normally? It's those kind of prospects. Maybe it takes them a couple years to hit their potential. Incredibly high ceiling type of players. Dudes that if they hit that ceiling, if they hit their potential, they could be really, really, really good players. But it takes maybe a couple of years. So I don't want to say that there's no value to first-round picks or anything like that, because there is, but we have seen it time and time again. It sure looks like the mindset of Green Bay with those first-round picks is let's maybe get a guy that in a couple of years could be a superstar. But it might take a couple of years. Well, now you're in a win-now mode. The general manager, after the season, says it's time we start competing for championships. He put his money where his mouth is. All right, I like my picks. But if I'm going to go out there and publicly say that it's time to compete for championships, I'm going to do my part. Goody did his part by acquiring MICAH Parsons. He put his money where his mouth is. Said, okay, this is what we're going to do. I'm going to do my part. It is now in the hands of the coaches and the players to do their part. But when you factor in that, okay, those first-round picks probably going to be towards the back end of the first round, and the mindset of Green Bay is how they've approached first-round picks, might take a couple of years, and it took Kenny Clark, who's probably in his final year in Green Bay. I think that's a hell of a deal for Green Bay. Yes, it costs a lot. Yes, you had to sign him to that huge extension. Yes, you're taking on some dead cap hit with Kenny Clark. But overall, on the surface, on paper, to me, it surprised me that that's all it took to acquire MICAH Parsons, who is in his prime and is probably a top 3 pass rusher in the entire National Football League. Think about it. To kind of put it in comparisons to other trades out there, okay? You know, even like first round or even other like first round picks and such. I know not everything's always the same comparison, but like the 49ers, okay? When they moved up in the draft to acquire Trey Lance, who is a backup quarterback for the Chargers, the 49ers traded 3 first-round picks and a third-rounder to acquire the pick to get Trey Lance. Yeah, 3 first-rounders, okay? The Bears, when they acquired Khalil Mack, because that was kind of the trade that everybody was kind of looking at as, you know, maybe the base. The Bears sent 2 first-round picks, a third-round pick, and a second-round pick. Yes, they got Mack and a 2020 second-round pick and a conditional 5th-round pick with it, too. But all things considered, I think this was, I think advantage goes to Green Bay. You get an impact player right away entering his prime. And to me, I don't think they gave. Yes, I don't want to downplay the, you know, how much they gave up, because it is a lot. But considering, that's it. That to me is probably, outside the fact that Green Bay actually did it, the second part that actually surprised me the most is that that's all it took to get MICAH Parsons. Is, man, Goody, I hope he had a few victory scotches last night. I hope if Goody went out last night to the local pubs in Green Bay, everybody in those establishments should have bought that man a drink. No way did he have a victory scotch. Did he have to pay for his brewskis or a victory scotch if he went? He didn't probably go out. But I'm just saying he could have. And he'd be the most popular man in town until MICAH Parsons came into town. That's a heck of a move. It is a job-altering, job-deciding move by Goody. He's putting his job at stake for this. You're investing in your future. You're investing a huge contract. You have made it tight on salary cap stuff, okay? We knew 2026 was going to be tight. It's tight right now. Green Bay still has a couple days because technically they'd be over the cap right now until Micah Parsons signs that deal and lower that cap hit. They're probably going to do some other, adjustments and such to other players. He is putting his job on the line with a decision like this. Because if it doesn't work out, you got a new president, new CEO, who already has said, I'm not going to give him and LaFleur extensions, with 2 years left. But I don't want him to go into a lame duck year. So, I don't know if this played into it at all. But, if I'm Ed Policy right now, I got to be like, hey now, my first year, we get Micah Parsons. Let's go. That's impressive. That's impressive, Brian. You just moved a little bit closer to that extension. But, the comparisons out there, yes, I get the Reggie White, the enthusiasm, the like, holy crap, that actually happened. It's an accurate comparison. But this is a trade, right? The Reggie White one was free agent, and, yeah, you had to wine and dine at Red Lobster and try to convince Reggie White and God calling Reggie White to come to Green Bay and that was, I get all the comparisons. This and Reggie White are up there. Charles Woodson. Remember Charles Woodson? He only had 2 suitors. It was Tampa and Green Bay. He didn't even want to go to Green Bay. It ended up working out incredibly well. The Favre trade, they're like, who? Why are we trading a first round for that guy? This is in a ballpark of its own. It's similar to White, but if you want to get down to the brass tacks, you got a free agent and you got a trade here. Green Bay doesn't do this. They don't trade first-round picks, let alone multiple first-round picks for something like this, and they didn't. Holy cow. This instantly moves them up to, if they were a good team, to great elite. You put in an impact pass rusher like Micah Parsons, a guy that has proven in his 4 years in the NFL to be a superstar defensive player on a team that it was clearly evident that one of their biggest issues, if not their biggest issue, was rushing the passer. You just added a guy in his first 4 years, double-digit sacks every single year. Last guy to do that, Reggie White. So, yeah, you'll get a ton of comparisons and stuff thrown out there. The parallels between the two is uncanny. I'm a little, surprised they didn't give up Gary or even Lucas Van Ness and such. Jeff Hafley's got to be, if Goody's the most excited than LaFleur and that, Jeff Hafley's got to just be jumping up and down right now. Defensive coordinator for Green Bay. You got a guy who is essentially, I saw this comparison when I was reading some stuff. He's the queen on your chessboard. Micah Parsons is the queen on your chessboard. He's not just, you don't just strictly have to line him up as a 4-3 defensive end. He is a guy that you can move around the line of scrimmage like a queen on a chessboard. That versatile player that you could put in so many different positions to go get the quarterback. And I go back to what Matt LaFleur said in June now about Lucas Van Ness potentially getting some snaps at defensive tackle in certain situations. Now you got an opening. Now I think it's clearly evident that when Green Bay is in a maybe obvious passing situation, you're going to get a Lucas Van Ness, because I'm sure some people are like, okay, so how is this going to work out now? I think it's clearly evident you're going to have a Lucas Van Ness probably lining up at D-tackle, Rashawn Gary, Micah Parsons on the edge there, but Parsons don't pigeonhole him, and I don't think Jeff Hafley's going to pigeonhole him. You're going to look at, okay, how was Micah Parsons so dominant? How was he so effective at getting after the quarterback? Let's emulate that, but maybe take it up another level. I think this helps Rashawn Gary. We've been critical. I've been critical of Rashawn Gary. A move like this helps out Rashawn Gary. Because if opposing teams were coming in and you're like, okay, we're going to definitely target Rashawn Gary, double teams, tight end chips, whatever the case may be, Can't do that anymore. Not with Parsons on the field. You can't do that. This is going to help him. This is going to help this defensive line. This is going to help the corners, the secondary. If we were worried about quarterback depth, this is going to help them out now. Jeff Hafley gets to do what he said he wanted to do last year. Rush with 4. Keep extra guys back in the secondary. That's what they want to play on defense, and now he gets to do that. Now, and then you look at what Hafley actually did with the defense last year. And I was reading this a little bit, too, from NFL Network. And it was a great piece kind of breaking it down, winners and losers of this trade. And I think when you kind of take a look back at last year, and you kind of see the job that Hafley did with his defense, he did a really good job considering what he had, and now you add in MICAH Parsons. It's like, whew. So this was from Kevin Patra from NFL.com and his winners, losers of this trade. And one of the winners was Jeff Hafley. Hafley immediately helped turn around a Packers defense that had long underperformed. In his first season at the helm, Green Bay finished 6th in points allowed and 5th in total defense. The last time the Pack had registered in the top 10 in both categories was 2010. Hafley made it work without a dominant pass rusher. Gary led the Packers with 7.5 quarterback takedowns last season, yet Green Bay still ranked tied for 8th in the NFL with 45 sacks. That's the scheme doing work. Now inject the most dominant, movable pass rusher in the game. The defensive coordinator should be beaming for weeks. Adding Parsons isn't just gaining an edge rusher. Here's the queen piece in the chessboard comparison. He's equivalent of a queen in chess, able to move all around the board, taking out opponents at will. It's a good day to be Jeff Hafley. I'm excited to see how they utilize him within this defense. I'm excited to see this whole thing play out. Yes, the expectations are insanely high. You know, it's Super Bowl or bust, and it should be. You don't make a move like this if you don't embrace that mindset. You don't make a move like this if you're not willing to embrace that goal, that mindset. Green Bay, Goody specifically, has put his money where his mouth is. You can't sit there as a general manager, rewind it after the season, and say it's time that we start competing for championships without doing your part. We talked about that all offseason. All right, the offseason was Goody's time. That was his time to say, how do I do my part to make this team a team willing to or able to compete for championships? Took a little bit, but he has now done it. He put the money where his mouth is. He has put his job on the line for this. It is now in the hands of the players and the coaching staff to deliver that Lombardi trophy. That is the expectation. That is the goal. We can say it every year, that's the goal. This is putting your money where your mouth is. I can be honest and truthful when I say this. In my lifetime, I was fairly young yet, still when White came over. But I knew the excitement. This, in my adults' lifetime or teens, I don't know how to put it in comparison. I've never, we have been so ingrained for the longest time as Packers fans to say this doesn't happen in Green Bay. Green Bay doesn't do this. We always, as Andrew Brandt says, Green Bay is usually the team that gets thrown out there to draw up the price for other teams. The fact that this happened is mind-boggling. I'm still kind of blown away. And I now cannot wait for this flipping season. World Series and Super Bowl, let's make 2025 into 26 pretty special here, Wisconsin sports fans. Because this is amazing. This is awesome. All right, let's take a quick break. I want to hear your thoughts, though, okay? Hit me up with a quick text on that Shoe Doctors bullpen line, 715-830-1912. You can also comment on the video streams if you'd like. Facebook, YouTube, Twitch. I think it's on Instagram. I know we had a little issue with Instagram this morning. I want to hear from you, all right? This is what this program's all about, to get your opinion, to get your thoughts. This is your show. This is your program. This is your opportunity to give me your thoughts and opinions on this thing. This is your chance. So let me know. Okay? Again, that texting line, that Shoe Doctors bullpen line to hit me up with a text, 715-830-1912. Or again, check us out on YouTube, Facebook, Twitch, all that good stuff. Tim from the Cooley region says, could have knocked me over with a feather here in the trade for MICAH. This is not what the Packers historically do. To me, this is the biggest signal the Packers are going all in for a Super Bowl. Brandon's mom saying, B's mom, I think I wet myself a little when the news broke about the Pack. Evan saying, all hail Ricky Leaks. Yeah, the Twitter account. That dude or gal or whoever runs it, they better be taking a victory lap themselves. No question about it. Video stream. Joe says, a total surprise. The Packers actually spent some money on a good player. Only the Reggie White signing bigger. James says, I agree with this as a bargain for the Packers. We benefited from Dallas's administrative dysfunction. So thankful we don't have an owner, but the structure the Packers have. Nick says, this doesn't feel like a Super Bowl or bust move. It feels right. Added a huge piece of the puzzle to get to the Packers, to the big show. Go, Pack, go. Let's take a quick phone call from our dude, Mr. C-Bomb here, which, C-Bomb, be careful what you say. I'm just saying, you know what I'm getting at, bud. Oh, no, C-Bomb, I think you got to try calling us back. C-Bob, try calling us back here, bud, okay? So we'll get C-Bob something with the phone there. So C-Bob, try calling back. We'll get you back on here. So Live the Dream, Jeff says, morning, Dan. Holy crap, and everyone who has met me knows I am being polite. Wow, I am amazed, and I can't wait to see this. My only concern is the salary cap, as I don't know how it will all shake out. Shouldn't hear any poop from Bears or Vikings fans until further notice. Big Word says, morning, Dan. Goody is a god. We just got a top rusher for 2 late-round picks and an aging Clark. Do we move Van Ness inside with Wyatt? With Parsons, Gary on the edge? Jordan Love, it's on you now. Love the show. Let's get back to the phone lines. All right, C-Bob, tell me how low I have to have this volume just in case.
Good morning, El Capitano. It is beautiful in the state of Wisconsin this morning, is it not?
It is pretty good. Are you on Bluetooth right now?
I'm talking through the car. I'm sorry. I can flip over to my phone.
There you go. That sounds better.
Is that better?
That's better. Yep.
Oh, good Lord. What a great morning.
Oh, dude. I mean, what was your reaction when you first? I mean, one of the first people I thought about when that popped through yesterday was you. What was keep it clean? But what was your first reaction when you saw that?
Well, I'll tell you how I found out. Okay, so it's been beautiful outside. I've been riding the motorcycle to and from work in New Richmond every day. So I was on the bike, and all of a sudden my phone's blowing up from Mr. Dan Crass, Jordy's dad from Crass trained, and you know the Crasses very well. And I was like, wait a minute, it's 5 o'clock. Dan Crass is calling me 4:30, whatever the time was. I was like, they freaking got Parsons, guaranteed. So I'm on the motorcycle trying to flip through my phone to find sports radio, and of course, yep, they did it. And I was like, I had to pull over. I did a happy dance on the side of I-94. It was awesome.
That's awesome. That is awesome. Oh, dude. I mean, okay. I mean, this is Reggie White-esque, isn't it? It's got to be.
Yeah, I think, I think this is entirely different. It feels Reggie White-esque, but even if you look at Reggie White, he came here when he was 31.
Yeah.
We were hopeful he was still going to be dominant, but we didn't know for sure for how long, but it was awesome. Charles Woodson signed here when he was 30. Both free agents, right? So it's not really a trade, but it gets the excitement up. Micah Parsons just turned 26. He's entering the prime of his career. I heard on Maggie and Perloff before your program this morning, all these Dallas fans calling in. Of course, they're bitter, right? They're losing their best player.
Yep.
But they're, he's going to give up now that he's paid. the hell if he is. He's got to play for another contract. He's going to be 30 when this one's up. So I'll tell you what, Dan. I was hopeful that they would do a deal like this for Trey Hendrickson. 1,000% in my head, I never even thought they would go. Micah Parsons would be an opportunity for us because I never thought Jerry Jones would be dumb enough to let him walk. Typically, the Jones pays his players and keeps them, and I mean they're Dallas Cowboys, right?
Right.
And the fact that this happened, they better be getting the statue ready for Goot because if this turns out he earns it. And Ed Policy, he's sitting back in his chair and he can't, he's got to make a mark. And he had to sign off on this, I'm sure. And boy, is Packer Nation fired up. I know I am.
Oh, my gosh, dude. Like, I can't remember the last time I've been this fired up. Now, I mean, yes, this is Darius Smith, Preston Smith, that day, Adrian Amos, when they signed all those guys and such. But we're talking about a proven superstar pass rusher, defensive player. Like, I don't know if they'll do this. First game of the season at Lambeau Field when they do the intros, do the defense first and leave Micah Parsons as the last person and just get that crowd going right away. That was one of my first thoughts.
Yeah, that Lambeau's going to erupt. I mean, we've been complaining about pass rush for ever.
Yeah.
I mean, this is easily, since Reggie White, hands down the best pass rusher that's ever walked onto this team. And I can't believe they did it. This is not the Green Bay Packers MO. I love it. Matthew Golden from, everything we're seeing in camp, how much you can read into that, looks like he might hit day one.
Yep. But
typically, like you stated, first-round picks do not do that. It sucks to see Kenny Clark go, but to be honest with you, it's going to be easier to plug in a defensive tackle than it is going to be to find the best pass rusher in the league, outside of T.J. Watt. I mean, this is just unbelievable. 26 years old. Can't believe it.
I know. I mean, then you look at the different levels of this defense. You got Xavier McKinney on the back ends. Obviously a lot of excitement about what Edrin Cooper can do this year. Now you put in, Micah Parsons and such. I think that incredibly, for anybody who has maybe some concerns about the cornerback group, this helps that out big time. I mean, now Jeff Hafley can do what he wants to do, right? Just drop extra guys back in coverage, and you got Xavier McKinney roaming back there, and just let those guys up front go out and eat. I can't wait to see what Hafley has planned with this.
Well, it's going to be amazing, and we're finally going to get to the quarterback bringing four, and it's going to be phenomenal. And I think that's your best defensive backfield is a pass rush. That's what I've always said, and we've never had it. And if you look at the makeup of this defense from the start of last year to the start of this year, now we've lost Kenny Clark and Jair Alexander. Those were two of our, top defenders, and we have way more excitement today than we did this time last year. I mean, this is just, it's unbelievable. Outside of getting a top-tier quarterback trade, which you never see, but, this is the biggest trade I could, and it's not just because it's the Packers. It's a marquee trade. I mean, it's probably the biggest trade in a number of years. Can you think of one that would trump this in the NFL?
No, no. I can't. I mean, it's not the Aaron Rodgers to Jets or anything like that because he's at the back end of his career and such. I mean, this is like you said, you're getting a guy in his prime, entering his prime, and all the people saying, no, he's not going to play up to that level or anything like that. Bull. I mean, he's still got major goals in front of him, right? It's to get a ring now. It's to get that ring, and he's going to go to a team that I think now is just going to be like, all right, that's the mindset of everybody within that locker room. That's the mindset, and if that's what can't motivate you and to go out there and to be great, and if I'm Micah Parsons and I'm hearing all the Reggie White stuff and that, I've got an opportunity to solidify my Hall of Fame career and hell, maybe even get my number retired now up at Lambeau Field. That's my expectations for Micah.
Absolutely, 100%. You are spot on. He is. I can't believe they did it, Dan. I actually last night didn't want to go to bed because I'm like, I'm going to wake up and it's all going to have been a dream.
I was still waiting for something. Like, I was like, oh, no, Jerry's going to somehow back out of this or something like that. I was still like, not like, I don't want to get fully in on it, my excitement, because I thought something's going to happen. Something's going to happen and it's going to fall through. But dude's getting introduced today in Green Bay. Jerry had that weird presser last night that just, made him look like an idiot. So, I mean, it's just, I kind of feel bad for Dallas fans. but not really.
Yeah, you know what? it was a sour thing for him in Dallas. Dallas fans are probably pissed because they're losing their best. They're losing their best player. But hey, they're getting 2 first-round picks. Might as well be second-round picks because we're going to win the Super Bowl the next 2 years, right?
Yep.
And then they got a stud defensive tackle, so they didn't lose out entirely. So I do feel a little bit bad, but thank you very much, Dallas fans. This is going to be awesome. The question I have is the back issue. Contract back is what I want to call it. We might have to ask Dr. Crow if that's a true thing. Contract back.
Maybe. But hey, I said it earlier this week. Maybe MICAH was giving us a little bit of a sign earlier when he was entering that final preseason game eating some nachos. Cheese, nachos. There you go. Just saying.
Absolutely. Way to tie that in, Dan. That is a great observation.
All right, dude. So once we find out what number he's wearing, you going to order the jersey?
You know what? I vowed after Zadarius Smith that I would never buy another player's jersey. Gosh dang it, I'm getting a Parsons jersey. You damn betcha.
Yeah.
And I'll do something crazy in that sucker too.
I love it, man. I love it. Dude, great to hear from you, buddy. Appreciate the phone call this morning, sir.
You bet. Have a great weekend. Thanks for having me, El Capitano. Go, Pack, go.
You got it, bud. There you go. There's C-Bomb hopping off on the line. From C-Bomb to Surveyor Sam we go. Surveyor last night saying, I'm going to be the first to say I was wrong. Have you ever actually said dumbfounded, actually flabbergasted by what you just witnessed? That's what I felt like when the news was wired across my phone. I love Kenny, but he's 30, and he has a decade of wear and tear on his body, and we basically gave up 2 second-round picks because the Cowboys will be using pick 32 for the next couple of years. This was an all-world move by Goody, and we must understand the greatness he just brought us. Go, Pack, go. And it's Super Bowl or bust. Bring on the Lions. Suck it, Vikings and Bears might as well stay in hibernation because we are coming for their precious Caleb. I'm still dumbfounded. This is absolutely insane. Let's blanking go. Go, Pack, go. Eli says Green Bay has to be the front runner for all the odds now. I'm going to Week 10 against the Eagles Monday Night Football that I now believe we can whoop them. Golden and Parsons jersey in the cart as soon as his number comes out. Rick says this is fleecing of the Cowboys to give 2 firsts and a 30-year-old Clark. The 53-man roster when it was released had this exact move in mind. It takes time and moving of players and making money. Pencil out. Goody, Russ Ball policy, all should be applauded for this. Pressure on LaFleur to bring everything together. Also, Dave last night saying it's a great trade. I like Kenny, but he is definitely on the downside. And our first-round picks are always late, so never an impact player anyway. Down the road, though, who will we have to restructure their contract to make room in years 2 through 4? That's something that's why I'm glad Russ Ball is on staff to figure that out. Josh also saying from last night, this trade has me shook. As a lifelong Packers fan, we always hear the Packers are interested in players. This week I've heard the Packers linked to Parsons, and again, I said it's the Packers. They won't do it, but holy bleep, they did. Wow. Another texter from last night, no name, looks like a first-time texter, so appreciate that. At the core, it's a good move. The money is a little concerning. I also think we are putting too much into a 6 to 8 game stretch 2 years ago from Jordan Love. I get he was beat up last year, but he did nothing to convince me he's a top-tier quarterback. He will need more support than we're used to with the last 2 quarterbacks, and this contract will absolutely hinder that in the future. Overall, the time is now. If we don't win in the next 2 to 3 years, that window may close for a considerable amount of time. Let's try to stay positive, though, right? I'm looking for the now. I'm looking for the now. I want a Lombardi now. Trophy now. World Series at the end of this year with a Brewers team, and let's get a Lombardi Trophy Super Bowl championship in February with the Green Bay team. Can you imagine? Just imagine that right now. If you are a Wisconsin sports fan, think about this for just a few seconds. You've got a Brewers team with the best record in Major League Baseball, and we're entering September. You have got a Packers team that has just acquired a worldwide superstar pass rusher in MICAH Parsons. You're looking at this and like, holy moly. I mean, I go back to 2011. Probably as the closest example, right? 2011. You had the Brewers. That was, the final year of Prince Fielder. Ryan Braun wins MVP. You had Zach Greinke on the mound, going into the postseason, feeling good, especially, after winning that first series against the Diamondbacks. Packers were off to that undefeated start to the season. Man, this is unbelievable. Unbelievable. Brian, really quick, before we have to head off to another break on our video stream, appreciate everybody tuning into the video stream here this morning. Brian says when Reggie White came to Green Bay, it was a monumental move by the Packers. When Charles Woodson came to the Packers, it was a piece that the team needed. Now with MICAH coming to Green Bay, it has the same feeling. He's only 26, and White was over 30. If you have watched Parsons play, you know what he brings to the game. I am now calling it our triangle defense, Parsons, Gary, and Cooper. This is, this move, it improves everybody on that defensive side. And yes, I'm sure there's going to be some, and I'm sure people have already kind of, okay, who's the other defensive lineman in a base? Who's the other defensive tackle right now for the Packers with no Kenny Clark? Who's going to be lined up next to Devontae Wyatt? I do think in obvious pass rushing situations, it might be Van Ness, as Matt LaFleur kind of alluded to in June. Remember, he kind of talked about that a little bit in June. Run situations. Could be Stackhouse, the undrafted guy. Could be Carl Brooks. They like Sorrell, the rookie. So we'll see how it all kind of plays out. But this is, you give me Micah Parsons any day of the week, man. Give me Micah Parsons 11 times out of 10. I cannot wait for this thing to get going. I cannot wait to see this defense on the field. I cannot wait. This is amazing. Amazing. We've got James with a question. Well, first of all, what is this? Surfers Rule All checking in from San Diego. Let's go. All right, we got a San Diego. Heck yeah, man. What up? James with a question. With the roster cuts, are there options out there that other teams let go at D-line that could help fill the gap Clark left? One name that I don't know first of all, I don't know if Green Bay would. They may want to roll with either like Carl Brooks or Colby Wooden or Stackhouse or when Sorrell comes back and such. So I don't know if they would be interested in bringing in another veteran type of player. But one name that I've seen thrown out there is former Packer Mike Pennell, who was recently released by the Kansas City Chiefs. He's in his mid-30s, but if you want to bring in a defensive lineman, an interior defensive lineman that could help with the run defense a bit, that could be a name out there. You bring him back into the fray. That's a name out there. I know there's some potential other veterans and such. I don't know if Green Bay is going to want to do that at this point. Who knows, though? Right now, considering what Goody's done and the Micah Parsons, who the heck knows anymore? Nobody knows what Green Bay's thinking at this point. Nobody knows. It's all been thrown out the window. We can't forecast it. So if you could ask today with Goody, LaFleur, and Micah Parsons talking to the media today in Green Bay, if you could ask one of those gentlemen one question, what would that question be? You have an opportunity to ask either Goody or LaFleur or Micah Parsons a question. What would that question be? I've been thinking about that for a while too. For me, I guess for Micah Parsons, I'd be kind of curious to get his thoughts on the Reggie White analogies and comparisons that are coming out. Has he seen that? What are his thoughts on something like that? Does he embrace that? Does that motivate him? Yes, he's got the big contract now, but seeing that, he's coming from Dallas to little old Green Bay, but you got the Reggie White comparisons out there. What goes through his mind? What's his thoughts when he hears that? But for Goody, I think I would ask, okay, what really what was that moment? Was there a particular moment in time that said, all right, I want to do this, or we're going to do this, or we're going to be aggressive with this? Was there, where was that moment? Because, I mean, he had all offseason. He could have drafted somebody. He could have made some other moves and such. Obviously, MICAH Parsons is a completely different animal, but I'd be curious to know where was that, if there was one particular moment where he just then put all the chips in. He's like, I'm going to do this. I'm going to try to do this. I'm going to be aggressive with this. And I think for my question for LaFleur at this point would be, all right, now, how do you, as the head coach of this team that has Super Bowl expectations it's Super Bowl or nothing. You as a head coach, how do you channel that? How do you get the job done? How do you use that? I mean, there's going to be a big pressure now. Pressure on the shoulders of him. Everybody's going to be looking at him and his staff. You bring in, Goody just brought you in this chess piece, this queen. That is one of the most dominant defensive players in the league in his prime. You are now the head coach. How do you handle that pressure? How do you go about this? How do you get your team prepared week in and week out, knowing that the target's going to be on you? Knowing that for a lot of people now, you are the favorites. And I think the other part of this too, you lose Kenny Clark, who was incredibly well respected within that locker room by his teammates. Jaden Reed right away posting, not KC. That is a leader. Yes, we could talk about the age and the play and the contracts, and I agree with everybody on that. But in terms of that locker room, he was a leader and well respected by every single player on that team. So some of those players are going to be a little down. Yes, they're going to be pumped. They're excited about MICAH Parsons coming in. But at the same time, there's going to be some like, dang, Casey's gone. Kind of maybe similar to the Aaron Jones effect a bit. But this is a quick turnaround. It's not like, hey, we got Josh Jacobs, but man, we lost Aaron Jones. And you had like an all offseason and preseason training camp to kind of get adjusted to it. Your season starts next week, and you lose one of your leaders. So as the head coach of this ball club now, you're in that locker room. You're the leader in that locker room. How do you keep that focus? How do you manage that? Where maybe some guys are really affected or shooken up by this. Those would be kind of the questions I would ask. All right. I got time for a few. Otherwise, shot clock's going to cut me off here. Surfers rule all Packers fans says 98 up early and so pumped. I was getting excited before this, but now LFG. Well, sir, I appreciate you tuning in all the way from San Diego. Hopefully we can get you to be tuning in as a regular now. We got listeners. Tom from across the pond in England. Waiting to hear from you, man. I know you tweeted at me. Let's get from England all the way to San Diego, east to the west. Would love it. Andy, morning DK. Handy Andy here. I'd ask Goody, how many shots in did you have Jerry when this deal was made? I'm just saying MICAH wanted to come to the true America's team. Obviously, everybody in Packers land is pretty excited, pretty pumped. And I just got your tweet, by the way. So Mr. Berg joining us here, Mr. Brandon Berg. Lot to get to. I do want to talk a little Brewers. Badgers did get a win last night, too. We've got some local sports roundup because high school football was going on last night and will be today and such. But I have to ask you, sir, as a fan of a team from across the border here.
To the west, not the south.
To the west. Or to the east, either, I guess, with the lake border if you're not Detroit fans, all right?
Fair, yeah.
You know. As a fan, and if you are a fan of another team, I know we got Bears fans and Lions fans that listen. This is my question to you, non-Packers fan. How upset are you about this from a or maybe not upset, but like, oh crap, type of reaction?
Well, it does make things easier. No, I mean, it is a tremendous move by the Packers, I think. I mean, to kind of see how it went down, to see ultimately what they gave up, which 2 first-round picks isn't nothing. I mean, as you and I both, connoisseurs of the draft, but barring something pretty unforeseen, those are probably going to be picks in the 20s.
Yeah.
Maybe not the same value as it would be if they were a little bit higher. And, Kenny Clark, who has victimized the Vikings over the years. I think Garrett Bradbury still wakes up with night sweats from trying to block him, for the last 7 or 8 years. But, Kenny Clark, if 2 first-round picks and Kenny Clark is the cost of doing business, then you do business. Like that's just how it is.
That's where I look at it, and I consider myself, Brandon, you've known me for a long time. I consider myself pretty reasonable when it comes to, fandom. I looked at that, and yes, the part that surprised me is they actually moved on from Kenny Clark. But when I look at it with 2 first-round picks, which to me was always going to be the minimum.
Right.
It was like 2 first rounds, and then what else? What else is it going to cost? The fact that it was just Kenny Clark, who was probably entering his final year, I've been saying it for a long time, because of his cap hit just explodes next year. He's 30, and he's coming off of last year. The fact that it was just Kenny Clark, to me, is like, that seems like a win for Green Bay, in my opinion.
Right.
I don't know.
I would agree.
Okay.
I would agree.
Okay. I'm just kind of curious. I wanted to get your perspective on it. Like, I thought, I know it's not the exact same, but 49ers traded 3 first-rounders to move up to get Trey Lance.
Trey Lance, right.
Khalil Mack was 2 first-rounders and some other picks, and yes, Chicago got a couple other picks in return too.
There was some swaps and stuff in there, but yeah.
But I looked, I'm like, that to me is like, on paper, I point that to Green Bay advantage for that.
I would too.
So I thought it would be a lot more than that.
Now, the real question, though, does Micah Parsons stop the run? Because apparently that's what Jerry Jones is hung up on with Mr. Michael Parsons.
That I saw bits of it.
Yeah.
Holy moly, that press conference. That,
buddy, you
this comes off the heels of the documentary, such which I haven't finished and all that, but it's just like, and then probably the one quote from the night. Let me bring it up so I get it right, because I don't want to screw this up. But I saw that, and I'm like, I was waiting for it to come up, and it did. But this was one of the quotes from Jerry Jones last night. Micah Parsons did an outstanding job for us for 4 years, in a little bit of the way Herschel Walker may have had his greatest contribution to the Cowboys. What he brought to us when he left could be a tremendous thing for our fans and the success of this team.
Does Jerry have Jimmy Johnson making those picks for him?
Right. I mean,
nobody better than me, and knows about the Herschel Walker trade, but
right,
and how that set up the Cowboys in the '90s. But one, they didn't get it wasn't the same because it wasn't the same draft pick haul, because these are just 2 different eras. The draft is a lot more valued by front offices now, as far as picks are at a premium. People don't like to trade picks. They just don't move as much as they did. Like nearly 20 years ago, Brad Johnson was traded by the Vikings in '99 for a first-round draft pick.
Yeah.
And I love Brad Johnson, but, think of that context these days.
Right.
So to hear that, like, it's 2 first-round picks, it's like, you're right. They could be good players. They could be great players. They could be all-pro players. But you know what you also traded? An all-pro player in his prime.
Yeah.
Like, I've seen people bring it up, and to me it's the perfect way to describe it, is the Family Guy meme it's from the early seasons where Peter and Lois are buying a boat. And they're talking to the salesman, and they're like, you can get the boat, or you can get the mystery box. And Peter's like, Lois, but the mystery box could be anything. It could even be a boat. And she's like, Peter, just take the boat. He's like, no, but there could be anything in the box. Like, that's kind of what this is. Like, yeah, but those draft picks could be anything. They can be even be an all-pro player. But then meanwhile, over here is the all-pro player that you just traded.
Right.
Like, it's just, and I've seen this brought up too, like, if Jerry Jones gets this deal done last year, he probably saves about $10 to $15 million on it, and he still got Micah Parsons.
Yeah.
But Jerry was Jerry, and...
Mm-hmm. And then I don't know if you saw this too. It was a great question. I don't know who asked this, but one of the reporters asked, okay, so, you got other players on here that are maybe looking for extensions or looking for extensions in the future. what do you say to those players? Like, how do you negotiate? Because this whole thing transpired from Jerry wanting to negotiate with just the player and not an agent, sort of thing. And it was a great question. Like, what do you tell these other players? And Jerry's response was, "Ask Dak. Dak's the highest paid player in the NFL." I'm like but that is just one of the dumbest responses. For that whole thing was just. Part of me feels bad for Cowboys fans, but I really don't.
Yeah.
But part of me is like, and I keep thinking about even probably for you too, because you have an ownership group, we don't, but it's like, thank gosh,
right, right, yeah,
thank gosh,
and look, even when we're looking at baseball, we have our things that we haven't liked about Mark Anastasio, but one of the things you could always say is what could be worse.
It could be worse.
And in football, I feel like both of us probably feel pretty good about the people that are owning the team we cheer for, and that's not always the case when you look around the league. And to see at this point, I mean, it really does seem like the Dallas Cowboys are just kind of to me, it's who's the most important player on the Cowboys? Is it Dak Prescott? You could have made the case Micah Parsons. Is it CeeDee Lamb? Jerry Jones probably thinks it's Jerry Jones.
Yeah, that's how I was going to answer it. I seriously question now, does the guy even care about a Super Bowl championship anymore,
right.
or does he just care about the attention?
Right.
I don't know anymore.
Yeah, because this morning, obviously, everybody, everywhere, even if you're not in Green Bay or you're not in the Metroplex, you're going to be talking about this. This is legitimate national news. And I have to imagine the vast majority of it will not be kind to him.
No.
But is he just sitting there kind of with a smile on his face saying, well, they're talking about me? It's kind of the idea of any publicity is good publicity, which I do not agree with. But
right. But he does.
Exactly. He does. Okay, great. Well, and now in 6 days, you got to go play Philadelphia, and you don't got Micah Parsons.
Did you hear the one response, too? Because Green Bay and Dallas do play each other in Week 4.
Yeah.
And he was asked, hey, you got to go up against Micah Parsons in Week 4. And his response was, we better jump out to a lead and run the football after that. What? I mean, way to just spew confidence in your team then, right? Yeah. I mean, for
it better go a certain
wow.
way if we're going to win.
I don't know. I really.
And the thing is too, is it going to get any better when his son takes over?
I don't think so.
Right.
Unless he just he's being a good son and supporting his dad,
kind of playing his father, following his father's play, and then says, "Okay, we're doing things different." Maybe it will,
right?
But from what I know from Cowboys fans, I know they don't have that feeling. They think it's going to be more of the same.
Right, and our new listener from San Diego says, what's crazy is just how big of a market the Cowboys have, and he's doing this stuff.
Right. It's one thing if you're, we know Cleveland's ownership.
Right.
And Cleveland has a very passionate, loyal fan base. But, the Dallas Cowboys, it's a national brand. It's a worldwide brand. Look, no matter what you want to say about the Cowboys, it's one of the most recognizable sports franchises there is.
Yes. And
you have an ownership right now that seems to think that's more important maybe than winning. Or the most important thing is, ownership being placed front and center.
Right.
They're the star. If this is a TV show, it's not starring Dak Prescott and CeeDee Lamb and whoever. It's starring Jerry Jones.
Yep. With Jerry Jones.
Special appearance by Jerry Jones. Craft services, Jerry Jones.
There's just for Dallas sports in general, from the Luka trade to this, I don't know what's going on down there. Or I mean,
I had seen someone, and I thought it was funny, bring up the point if the NFL is anything like the NBA, maybe Goodell will rig the draft so they can get Mr. Manning. But I'm like, that's a little bit tougher to do in the NFL.
It is, but yeah, I just was thinking about that last night. I'm like, Luka's out. If you're just a diehard Dallas sports fan, how are you feeling in the last few months?
Yeah.
Yeah, you got the number one pick, but still, it's Luka.
I was saying, Cooper Flagg could be a very good player, but it's Luka Doncic.
Right. I something in the water, as Shooter McGavin would like to say. Oh, more. We'll have more on this throughout the morning here, but I do want to hit up on a couple other topics. Keep the texts and the comments coming, though. 715-830-1912 with a quick text on that Shoe Doctors Bullpen line, or join our good buddy Surfers Rule All on YouTube right now. Hey, he or she's chiming in right now. Keep it coming there.
Good.
So let's get those rolling here. So reminder, we are going to hear from Goody, LaFleur, and MICAH Parsons later on this afternoon when they do their press availability too. So, really quick, I know odds makers have Green Bay jumped up and all that. I still think this division is going to be a hell of a race this year.
Oh yeah, I was actually this conversation I was having with some people, down before the Chahai Memorial Football game last night. It's like, if this wasn't the best division in the NFL, it is now.
Yeah.
Like, when you look at it, I mean, right now the Bears are the weak link, and the Bears are still a team that could win, 7, 8, maybe more, depending on how things go games. Like, there's no, you can make the case about the AFC North too, but then you get the Browns in there.
Right.
So, but like top to bottom, like especially now, like you can make a legitimate case for at least 3 of these teams winning it.
Right. I totally agree.
And you can make a case for if things go right, each of the teams, not necessarily all of them at the same time, but all 4 of the teams making the playoffs.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, this is. I guess it moved the needle quite a bit with this move, but I still think this is going to be a dogfight this year for the division. Maybe it takes a little bit of that spotlight off of a Lions team where it's like, okay, hey, now we come attack. I can't wait. I'm going to be nervous.
And right away we jump in with 2 division matchups. So
right, it's going to be, I think, a very high blood pressure 18 weeks.
Right, because this, I mean, I'm sure you've already brought this up too, but like this pushes. I mean, this definitely pushes up the sense of urgency.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a little bit more pressure on everybody else now because, hey, they made this move. Like, you got to up your game. Receivers, you got to stop dropping the ball. Jordan Love, you got to start being a little more consistent. Like, this is on everybody now.
It is on everybody. It's like, okay, Rashawn Gary, even Rashawn Gary, like for somebody like that, hey, you're probably not going to get as much attention anymore, so can you go wreak havoc and get your first double-digit sack season over everybody? The urgency, the pressure. Goody has put I fully believe Goody has put his job on the line with this move.
Yeah. Because
you got a new CEO who's already said, yeah, I'm not going to give a contract extension right now. Kind of downplays, like, I don't think they got 2 years, but I don't believe in lame duck, so, we'll look at it after all. You sacrifice a lot for a move like this. You're already in a tight salary. This, to me, is like, yeah, that's a job-defining move, but I got to give him credit because what did he say after the season? It's time we compete for championships. And it's like, okay, what are you going to do? What's your part in this? Here we go.
Right.
He did this. Now, coaching staff and players have to do their part. So there's a lot of excitement, but I also would agree that a lot of pressure is on this ball club too. But pressure is a privilege, right?
It is.
It is a privilege. I'd rather be in this situation than instead of like, well, hopefully we win a couple games this year.
Right.
So